I am a first grader. In class, I wait in line to show my teacher, Miss Miller, my assignment. You sure do have a lot of shoes, she says. I want you to name every pair of shoes you have. I managed to recall 10 pairs, the black and white polka dotted ones with a bow tie, the buckled ruby red ones, the salmon pink lace-ups. 10 pairs is an awful lot. The next day in class, Miss Miller calls me back to her desk. You didn't mention you had white shoes. That evening, I tell Mama what happened. Who does she think she is? Get your coat and let's go. Mama takes my hand and leads me to the children's shoe department. She points to a pair of yellow patent leather shoes. Those are pretty. Nonchalantly, Mama opens her wallet, pulls out a $100 bill, and pays for the shoes, while the saleswoman looks at her the way Miss Miller looked at me. You're going to wear these to school tomorrow, and you better tell that damn teacher of yours that you actually have a dozen pair of shoes. The next day, I wear my brand new shoes with a matching yellow knit dress. Nervous as I walk up to my teacher's desk, I announce, Miss Miller, I have 12 pairs of shoes. She looks down at my feet and then levels those blue eyes at my face. Sit down.
The children's shoe department at Saks Fifth Avenue, Detroit, is a world away from the Jim Crow Tennessee of the 1950s. In that decade alone, more than 1.1 million Black Americans made their way up north to cities like New York, Chicago, and Detroit, with dreams of civil liberty and economic prosperity. The reality that awaited them was a harsh wake-up call.
My mom, her family had been in Nashville for generations. Her grandfather was born into slavery there. So they had deep roots in Nashville. My mom didn't understand struggle at all at that point. So why would she leave Nashville? She and my dad and my 3 older siblings, because they wanted some liberties. Even though Nashville was comfortable, my mom couldn't vote there. Her daughters couldn't go to a decent school. And then they got to Michigan, and lo and behold, they were not prepared. For the first time in their lives, they were in poverty. It was debilitating. And my mother thought, oh no, no, that's not what I'm made of. I have to make a way out of no way.
That way turned out to be an operation that made Fannie Davis a one-of-a-kind businesswoman, sole proprietor of an enterprise that would sustain the mother of 4 and her family over the next 40 years, and aroused the suspicion of a nosy first-grade teacher.
I could just feel it. This is not a good situation because I have a big secret, and this feels as though she's getting close to something I'm not supposed to tell.
Not supposed to tell about her mother's numbers running operation.
Well, my mom was really smart and a quick study, and she had a motivation. She needed to figure something out. She saw her neighbors playing the numbers, and she thought they could turn those numbers into me. She was the only woman. The numbers are this ubiquitous experience in Black culture. The numbers started in Harlem in the 1920s by one man who came up with this elegant system. It's simple. You just take 3 digits and you decide to play them in a particular combination and you hope they come out. When you played $1, you could win 500.
Yeah.
You know, this game helped people in Harlem during the Depression. Fast forward, it's been throughout all of these communities in Black culture.
While business was good, it also kept her mom on the wrong side of the law.
My mother made it clear to all of us in her words and in her actions that this business was legitimate. It just happened to be illegal.
Explain the numbers business to me as you saw it manifest in your life.
It started with hearing my mother on the phone and watching her take her customers' bets. 442 for a quarter, 693 straight for 50 cents. Is this both races, Miss Queenie? Hearing that rhythmic sort of like way that she would repeat each number, that was like a daytime lullaby for me. It was a way of knowing everything was right in the world because she was running her business.
I was wondering if you've ever heard a criticism of the numbers that actually gave you pause.
The criticism that would get to my mom a lot would be that it's exploitative, that people like her were preying on folks who had problems with gambling. She didn't see that happen because Detroit had a bunch of black folks working for the auto industry, and they were doing pretty well. They were solidly working and middle-class folks who were using their extra money to do what they wanted to do for pleasure. And for a lot of them, it was playing numbers.
Yeah.
So this idea that if you play, you somehow are spending money you shouldn't spend is a way, I think, that some people like to legislate black pleasure.
Revenue from the numbers fueled an entire parallel economy, where black dollars were redistributed to business, cultural, and social causes that benefited communities of color.
The NAACP and the National Urban League were fledgling. Numbers men in all the major cities fueled those institutions and gave them the resources so that they could survive. You know, the numbers were brought to Detroit by a man named John Roxborough. He also was Joe Lewis's manager. He took all that money he made in the numbers and he invested in Joe Louis, who became the heavyweight champion of the world. And Joe Louis is a hometown hero, but he's an American hero. And I'm telling you, I don't think he would exist without that numbers money.
What scale of money?
Millions and millions.
Literally millions.
Literally.
And this is in the 50s and 60s.
Yes. And all the way
millions of dollars
through the 70s as well.
in the black community.
Yes. And it was a true underground economy. Just imagine those dollars circulating over and over and over in the
these
black
10
community.
square blocks.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what does that do? It helps small businesses. When you have thriving businesses, then you have folks who feel good about living in that community. They stay put. They take care of their homes. They want their children in good schools. They can advocate for that because they're living in the community and they care about it. It spreads out and provides a kind of stability that we don't really see today.
The money was rolling in, and the powers that be took notice and eventually took action.
It thrived for 60 years until the legal lotteries stepped in to replicate the same game. What's fascinating is in New York, activists and local politicians and even Congress members fought back. They were like, this is our economy. Even though it's illegal, don't take it from us. But it didn't work. Ultimately, the state was able to take it over because voters decided they would legalize it.
In what ways are you your mother's child?
I understand what it means to be a gambler. And my mother was fundamentally a gambler, not in the way you might think. She wasn't someone who got excited about gambling, but she was a gambler with her life. I do take risks. I do gamble with dreams that I have, and I don't have any qualms about that. As she told me, if it's for something that valuable, then the risk is worth it.